Hey everyone. Wow, Jim Fuse, you're already doing the Tim. This is exciting.
You told me let's dance in the private chat, so I figured
I
we
know. I know. That's true. Welcome everyone. Welcome to a very literal edition of the Tim and Jim show today. I'm Tim Stone right here, and there's Jim Fuse. He's right over there. I'm with Stone Social Media Solutions, hanging out over here with the trees. I don't see any bears or turkeys today, but maybe a few will wander through. And I'm sure if that happens, Chris Stone will be super excited. And Jim Fuse, how are you, my friend?
I'm doing great. Braves have won 6 in a row, and hopefully tonight will be 7. But it has been raining since after their game last night, and also, I was at a conference almost 2 weeks ago at Podfest, and getting ready next week to go to Social Media Week Lima, Ohio, like Lima Bean,
Yes.
not Lima, Peru, where my mom is from. But
Not
I
Lima
am
Bean.
right, not a Lima bean, but yeah, so excited to see some folks there. I'll be speaking about co-creating with Amazon, and I'm sure I'll also bring we've been co-creating for
Hey.
August will be 4 years,
Yes.
and
Can you believe that? 4 years, Jim
it's
Fuse.
hard to believe. Time flies when you're having fun. I can't believe it's been
Definitely.
that long. So I think we have literally done hundreds of shows.
Literally.
Literally, right? Not just figuratively. Is that yeah, I said that right, right. Don't say that 5 times fast. You'll
Let us know in the comments. Did Jim say that right? Let us know. We want to know.
Yes, and it was great to have you. Actually, you were a man of your word. You came to our Toastmasters meeting last week, and hope you enjoyed that.
Yes.
We made
I
we
did.
we put Tim on the spot. We made him do table topics, and he did a great job. For those that don't know what table topics is you get asked a question, and you have like no prep. You have no idea what the question is going to be,
Oh my
and
gosh.
your goal is to give an answer within of 1 to 2 minutes. And but Tim did a great job. He brought up his favorite coffee. Well, I don't know if it's a coffee place for you anymore now. It might be.
Mm,
It's just a tea place, and that's Dunkin'
I
Donuts.
actually went back to Coffee Gym,
Okay.
and my table topic was talk about the hottest restaurant in town. So of course I said Dunkin', and and I had to talk about Chris. Was it Hemsworth? I didn't even know
Yeah.
who it was. I think he's an
Yeah.
actor.
He is. He's the guy that plays Thor.
Thor.
Yes, Thor in the Marvel movies. Yes.
Oh, see, I had no idea. So I just said I was talking to him about donuts because what else do you talk about in Dunkin' Donuts but
That's right.
donuts, but
That's
probably
right.
lots of other things. But
So hopefully, Tim, you're
yeah,
going to come back. Hopefully, we didn't scare you away.
yes. No,
Um,
it was a lot of fun actually.
yeah,
Yeah, I
yeah,
encourage you all show up for a Toastmasters meeting.
yes, yes, definitely.
Right,
But
Jim?
yeah, so
Yeah.
we didn't have a guest today, but Tim and I love doing this show, and so today we came up with a topic we thought that was very apropos, and that's a big word. I don't even know what it means, but it
How do you
sounds
spell
good.
that, Jim?
I don't ask me questions like that.
Let us
The
know if you're
future
watching.
the future of live streaming. Because,
Yes.
well, the short answer is it's not going away, but we're gonna get
No.
into more details about that. And,
Are we?
but yeah, I think so. That's what we should do, right? I
I mean,
mean,
we still have more than 25 minutes left, so we better talk about something. So, okay,
right,
sure.
right. So, Tim,
Jim,
how do you wanna start? Do you wanna ask the first question, or did you wanna, I know we talked a little bit about what maybe what I got out of Podfest, I don't know.
yeah. So, Jim, you went to Podfest recently. What's maybe one thing that you one topic of discussion that came up? Maybe something around podcasting and live streaming and sort of the intersection of them, if that makes any sense.
It does. So, if you think about it, podcasting and live streaming in the past have kind of been looked at as 2 separate things because, live stream is visual, podcast is audio, but those worlds seem to be merging more and more. I mean, I know recently I think they're getting rid of it, but they're always changing. Meta was actually letting people have their podcast on Facebook or whatever, on Meta Book, whatever we call it now. And that's
That's
going away, but now YouTube is talking about bringing in podcasts. Some people do their podcast on YouTube, which you're actually like just looking, I think, at an audiogram. But then there's several people. Chris Stone and I do it with Dealcaster. Jeff C does it with Social Media News Live. I think Ian Anderson Gray does it as well. Is their live stream becomes a podcast in as a repurposing mechanism. Because if you think about it, and I know we've talked about it some, Tim, and it's not to say we couldn't start doing that, but a lot of times if you have a great interview and it's, as long as what you're talking about's not too visual,
right.
you can repurpose that video into an audio podcast. And with
Hmm.
StreamYard, which, is what this show is powered by, you can download individual audio tracks so you can clean up the audio so that you get a better quality podcast. And then with a podcast, right, one, it becomes evergreen. It can kind of live forever. And then you can get it distributed to all the podcast players through different programs. We use Captivate for Dealcasters, but there's also Libsyn. There's people that use Anchor, things of that nature. And so, but what's happening is podcasters are starting to see the importance of having a video of their interview, because now
Hmm.
if I have that interview, I can repurpose that video clip on all the tubes, as Chris Stone likes to say,
All the
and
tubes.
have a link either to the podcast or back to the original video. So if you're a podcaster, even if you're not ready to go live, why not record your interview session so that you can get some of those video clips? So I think that we're going to see more and more of that. And so obviously that brings up something like for what we do, Tim, where we're helping people produce that.
Right.
And understand, because maybe they're not quite ready for the video part, but like you can then say, hey, here's your audio tracks. They can go do what they want to do in their little um, audio podcasting world and put it out the way they want to. But now they already
Right.
have that video file, and right, and maybe they go live on YouTube, right, or even upload it after the fact on YouTube. It doesn't have to be live. So I think that was, I think, something that's we're definitely going to see more of, and it'll be interesting to see how that continues to evolve.
Yeah, definitely. So many good points, Jim. And that's one of the great things about StreamYard and other platforms as well, is that they make it so easy to download the video, but then also you can download the separate audio tracks. So then you can use whatever podcasting software that you want to use to create the audio podcasts. And I know so many people who aren't in the live streaming space or the podcasting space. They already call live streams podcasts, right? The whole terminology behind it, when I talk to people, they say podcast. So many people already call live streams podcasts, right? But we want to thank you all for being here. So many of you are tuning in. Whitney Koch is here. She's agreeing with you. I'm not sure, but she should always agree with you, Jim, because you're always right. So
No, I'm not always
not
right.
always,
No.
just most of the time. Just most of the time.
I
Just
do
go
my
with it,
best.
Jim.
I
Just go
do my
with
best.
it. Denise is here. She says, "Hi guys." Russ Hedge says, "Woohoo." He's always saying woohoo, and he's everywhere. Uh John is here. Oh, John, where did John go? The comments are just like flying in. Rabinder is here. Hi, Rabinder. It's great to see you. I haven't seen you in a long time. Rob Statham is here. He says live streaming is not podcasting. Well, there's
I don't completely disagree with him, but I think that's
yeah,
where it's getting where everything is kind of becoming gray. Because if
yeah,
you turn your live stream into a podcast, when you're actually, live, you could actually theoretically have that audio go straight out right away as I mean, some people won't do anything. They'll just say, "Okay, take the audio, that's our podcast." They do nothing to it. So now it's a podcast. But it is funny because people that are pure live streamers, right? They're like, "It's not a podcast because I'm not gonna put it on a podcast player," but it can definitely be repurposed as a podcast. So I think that's where, it's kinda getting gray, and I think you
Yeah,
may be the
the
same way. I
terminology.
get tired of, I can't remember when I stopped, like, when somebody says, "Hey, I love your podcast." I was like, "Okay, thanks."
Yeah, right. You don't even bother to correct them, right? Because it's you know what they're talking about.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah. Oh, Christina has an interesting question. She says, "Will live streaming cross into the metaverse?" Do you have any thoughts on that, Jim?
Mm. I could see where it could.
Yeah,
Um, I know as an example, I've been in some of these, I don't know, like Spatial IO and some of these things, and so I know, like, you can be interacting live. I think I don't know if it lets you record it. I haven't tried to record a metaverse session, um,
yeah,
but I don't know how you would replay it yet, and it would be kinda
yeah,
weird to be watching a bunch of avatars. So
yeah,
I could see it, personally, not something that I'm, like, ready to, like, go in 100% because I think, um, I don't know, you may feel the same way. I find the metaverse interesting. I'm keeping my eye on it, but I still think, there's still a lot of, gas in the Web 2.0 tank that, trying to get people to go from, even getting people into Web 2.0, which is what we're doing right now, is still a struggle. So to get people to go to a whole nother place where they're wearing, virtual reality glasses or augmented reality, or even that is right. Is there a difference between augmented and virtual reality? Which there is. Um, I just don't think that the majority, now maybe the younger people, right? I don't know if younger is under 35, millennials, whatever the term might be, are maybe more
whatever you
ready
are,
to.
Jim, you're
Oh
younger.
no,
We'll go with that.
oh no, I'm not younger, but I I would say most of my peers are like, they're not, they don't have any interest in that right now. And I know like Mitch Jackson is doing some great stuff with that. So, but I could see that at some point. Um,
Yeah,
but it's not, that would be interesting to see how people would actually do that. Um,
yeah, definitely.
because I want to see the real Tim Sohn, not the Tim Sohn avatar, if I'm live streaming. And I think that's where it goes back to that human connection, right? And I think, like, even sometimes I feel like I would much rather have a meeting in Zoom, or even like do an asynchronous meeting in Volley because maybe we don't have time to meet at the same time, where I can see you talk, get your all your human, you know, reactions, except for touch, taste, and smell at the moment, right? Until we get smell-o-vision. And
Right, smell-o-vision. I love that.
so I think that's kind of where I am with it right now. I mean, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I think metaverse is still kind of in the very early stages of it, and it'll be really interesting to see where it goes. I think it's definitely a possibility that live streaming will be integrated somehow for sure, because live streaming is being integrated everywhere, as is short form video, right?
Mhm.
Everybody is copying everybody else. Um, so it'll be interesting to see where it goes. And thank you all for being here. The comments are blowing up today.
Wow.
Yeah, I think we
On
need to do
LinkedIn.
more of these Tim and Jim shows with Tim and Jim.
Yes.
And
Yes.
Chris Stone wants to know: are we in the future right now?
No, in 10 seconds we will be.
In 10 seconds, and in 10
Now
seconds,
now
we
we're in the
will
future.
also be doing the Tim because we are going to watch a StreamYard video right now, and
Oh,
then we'll be doing the Tim if I can get this comment off the screen and this banner off the screen. And Here we go. And we are back. We are still doing the Tim. I feel like we've been doing the Tim practically the whole show, Jim. Don't you?
No, but if it
Okay.
makes you feel better, sure.
Yeah, I feel like we should just keep doing it. Guys, let's see your we want to see videos of you doing the Tim. I think we should do some kind of contest.
Oh, like submit us your Tim doing the Tim GIF. How about that?
Yes, a GIF or a video.
Which I have one, but since Tim's producing today, Tim is spared from that. Oh, and great to see our friend Jeff C in the
Oh,
chat.
Jeff
He's over on
C, the
Facebook.
pager worked. Welcome,
Yeah.
Jeff C. I'm glad to see the pager is working today. Shout out
Ah,
to whatever brand pager is still in existence, which probably not.
right.
But yeah, welcome everyone. And so Jim, the other topic we wanted to talk about today was the rise of different live streaming platforms, because the last few years with COVID, live streaming really has boosted, right? It's really accelerated, and the different live streaming platforms have really taken off, and there's been even more platforms that have come into existence, right, Jim?
Oh yeah. And I think too what we have to remember is there's kind of there's a difference, right? You've got software-based live streaming platforms and some are Mac only, some are PC only. That would be so like with the Mac, we're talking about Ecamm. With the PC, we're talking about vMix. I think Wirecast can be used on either, but this is actual software, right? Zoom is actually software that you download to your
Right.
computer. And so what you have to remember if you're live streaming with those is they're going to take up resources on your system. So you're probably going to have to get a better machine. But what we've seen, and I would say even in the last 6 months, is the rise of additional browser-based systems. I mean, we've been using StreamYard since I want to say February of 2019 is when we switched over from we'll say their name, Be Live. And
Shout out to Be Live.
what's nice about so first of all, StreamYard works PC or Mac, and actually you can use it on your phone now. You can use it on your iPad, but you're a little bit limited when you take it off of a computer. Just to be fair, as far as some of the features you can do, as far as screen sharing and things like that.
Yeah.
But StreamYard's founded on three principles: ease of use, stream stability, professional looking streams, and they rock on that. But others have come out because at some point, some, not all, live streamers want to, in a sense, step up their game. They want to have scenes like you can in Ecamm. Now, what's a scene, you might ask? A scene would be we go from this look, and with a push of a button or a push on your Stream Deck, if you have a Stream Deck, you go to a completely different view. It could be a solo view, it could be adding a guest. But by being able to lay your scenes out in advance, you can really, I mean, it almost becomes like television quality stuff. I mean, Chris Stone was on a show last night. I think it was, I hope I get it right. I think it was either JP High Tech or something. Chris, if you're still here, you can correct the name. This guy has an amazing show, and it looked like he was maybe using Ecamm, but
Okay.
it was like he would go from one scene and then he would run a commercial, and it was so seamless. And he actually plays it live on Roku, plays it live
Oh,
on Fire TV. So you could, so we're kind of where like live streaming is becoming another form of, for lack of a better term, the old TV shows, right? It's like you're creating your own Netflix. And
right.
so by upping your production value with these different platforms,
Yes.
this is giving you that capability. So Wave.video, right, recently launched a live streaming platform. EV is another one that they're
Yeah.
creating some really cool features for live streamers. I think like I said, I know of those two and StreamYard. There's a couple others. I think there's Melon. I haven't tried
Right.
Melon. Um, I don't know if is considered a live streaming platform or a virtual camera.
Yeah, I'm
Bec-
not sure. It might be a virtual camera. There's also one I'm going to be talking to somebody from another live streaming, a very new one called Zekin. I'm going to be talking to them later
Mm,
today. Um,
yeah.
yeah, so
Oh,
there's
and
many.
then let's not forget, because I think you use it. Or I've been using it on the Perspectives with Cancer show,
Yes.
Restream. And
Yes.
now, one of the things I do like about Restream, and when we were on, when Chris and I were recently on Jeff's show, they have a feature called Pairs, which I've
Yes.
heard StreamYard is working on. Just to be fair,
Right.
which is neat about that is it allows you to, as a guest, right? You can say, hey, if you'd like to share our live stream to your channel, all you do is use this link. So I was able to go live on my LinkedIn. And so,
Yeah.
like right now, if we were using Restream,
Mhm.
and this, because this is something it wasn't always like this, but it changed on us. We can only go live on one of our channels. But if we were using
Right.
Restream, we could go live on both of our channels, still pull in the comments from both, right? And so that's kind of a
Yes.
nice feature. And, because then you kind of get into the argument of, should you be everywhere
Mhm.
or should you be in one place? And I think, I don't know. What do you think of that, Tim? I have kind of mixed thoughts at times. I mean, I get it. Ideally, you want to build your audience maybe in one specific place.
Yeah.
But what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, that's a great question. So my thoughts are, like, for example, for me, I really focus heavily on LinkedIn. So most of the people that show up for the shows that I'm involved in, like for the Tim and Jim show, for showing up Perspectives on Cancer, show up for LinkedIn. So I definitely always stream to LinkedIn. But then I also almost always stream to Facebook and LinkedIn. I mean, I already said LinkedIn, YouTube, and Twitter. Twitter, I use the least. But my perspective is people are definitely going to show up from LinkedIn. But why not show up to the other places? Because you may attract somebody to your show that um,
They
that
didn't
typically
know.
doesn't show up,
Right.
right?
Right.
So my perspective is, why not? Like, it's not going to hurt anything.
Hmm.
What's your perspective, Jim?
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think part of what we run into, maybe more so with like YouTube, is right because people are
Mm,
concerned about building up subscriber counts and watch time because they
sure.
want to get monetized. And so I know our friend Rob Balasabas, when he's live streamed in the past, would start a show on, say, all the channels and then say, if you want to continue the conversation, you got to come over to YouTube. So that's another strategy or tactic, depending on how you want to look at it, to kind of, if you want to call it, funnel people to where you really want to engage with them. So I can see that. But of course, like with Restream, and I know Jeff C uses Restream with Social Media News Live. I mean, they can go to a
Right.
ton of places, places I've
Mm,
never even heard of. You could go to, and we do that not with Restream, but like when we do the Dealcaster show, we go live to. We have a Twitch channel. We're going live
mm,
on Amazon. Of course, the issue there is we're going at 720 because that's a restriction on the Amazon end of things. But then when you think about it, um, is it for most viewers, if they're viewing on their phone, is there really that big a difference between 720 and 1080? And
right.
I see Stefan's comment about Twitter, but I look at Twitter this way. Twitter is, by live streaming to Twitter, it's an awareness play. It's making
Makes
people
sense.
aware. And so even if they watch on Twitter, you can always later kind of retweet that video stream and say, hey, if you wanted to, catch this again, you can go to this channel, that channel. But it's kind of like what you're saying. Like even if we don't have a lot of people on Facebook, they might see it on
Right.
Facebook, and it builds. So I think a lot of
Yeah.
I look at multi-streaming as awareness building, and then the next step, because we talk about the know, like, and the trust. The like and the trust, you want to get them to those channels where you really want them to be at. So maybe it's like for us, it's LinkedIn and YouTube is where we
Right.
really want people to connect with us. Of course, I know for you it could be Meta because I know how much you love Meta. It's your
Not
favorite
nearly as much,
platform.
Jim. That used to be my number one platform, but it's all LinkedIn now.
Right,
I
right.
I mean, I engage some on Facebook. I would say that's my number two, maybe my number two platform now. But we have another question here.
Mhm.
The only other point I want to make about multi-streaming is I would always recommend to people that you stream to at least two places because you never know if there's going to be a problem with one of the platforms you stream to, whether it's LinkedIn or Facebook or
Yes.
whatever it is. So if one of them is not working, if you hit that go live button and LinkedIn says, I'm not going to
I'm not
cooperate
playing
today,
today, right?
right? So if you still do go live on YouTube, you can type in the comments of the stream that isn't working, hey, I'm over on
Mhm.
Facebook, come join me over here. Uh, so that's an advantage to multi-streaming as well.
Yeah, and, we haven't tried this, Tim, because I know we've had this happen to us a couple times,
Yeah.
but with StreamYard, and I believe Restream may do the same thing. Oh, and there's another one now called, I think it's called is it Stream One or OneStream?
Oh, I don't
I
know.
think, that's another new rising right, another live streaming platform where you can play your pre-recorded show. So we could take
Mhm.
today's show, and if for some reason Facebook didn't work, we could then broadcast, replay the show as if it was live
Yeah.
on Facebook for those people that missed it. The only downside is unless we sit there and watch it while it's going on, you're
Right.
not going to get the same interaction as you do like right now when we're live. So I think but that's a great point. I mean, yeah, because we had that, back in the old days, we had one time where remember we were going to go live on Facebook and Facebook was down and we like had to go it was like a last minute, oh my gosh, how do we go live on YouTube? And we figured out a way to do it. Um, I think we actually at that one point went live on my YouTube channel because we didn't have the Tim and Jim show channels set up yet on YouTube. But now it's like, you almost want to tell people from the get-go, hey, make sure you've got more than one place you can stream to. But at least with StreamYard, and I believe it's the basic and the pro plan, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, Tim,
Yeah.
you can get the recording where
Yeah.
before you didn't get the recording, right? The recording was wherever you live stream to. So that was a huge step forward for us and for repurposing, right? You want that
Oh,
file
definitely.
so that you can repurpose it later.
Oh, definitely, definitely. And Christina has this question. She says, part of live streaming's appeal is the uncut, unrehearsed feeling that is definitely true today. Does higher production value and commercials take that away? Would love to hear thoughts. Almost sounds like live stream will be the new talk show. Jim, I kind of feel like this is a talk show right here.
Yes, yes, I would say we are a talk show.
Yeah.
We don't always know what we're going to talk about, but we do have a talk show. Um, I, here's where I think
Yeah.
these are a couple of the things I don't personally like a lot, and I'd love to hear your thoughts on it. So sometimes when I watch somebody's show, right? Like let's say we know the show, like our show is at 11 o'clock. Now, if you wanted to play a countdown timer that started at 10:55 for 5 minutes, where all I'm seeing is a clock counting down, okay, fine. But if your show starts at 11, right? That's why we do our video. It's to build excitement, it's to get people excited. It's about 1 to 2 minutes, so it's about the same as having a countdown clock without counting down. Because personally, countdown clocks bore me, right? I don't care. I know some people think it's really cool and like it's sometimes it's like they have the countdown. It'd be like you'd see us behind the countdown clock like, "Well, what are they waiting for?" Um so I'm personally not a big countdown clock fan. Now, when it comes to commercials, like we have a very short commercial from our friends at StreamYard, I think you have to be careful with that because I think if you do too much, right? It's kind of like it's like think about TV today, right? I don't know about you, Tim. I can tolerate it, but my wife can't stand commercials anymore. And if we're watching a show on TV, she's like, "Can we fast forward through it?" I'm like, "Not unless we record it." And
Yeah.
so I think, to Christina's point, yeah, I think you have to be careful with the, if you want to call it commercials, sponsorships, because right now it's like, oh, if it's too long, you're going to lose viewers. I think even sometimes, I know in YouTube you can do it. I don't know if I've ever really looked at what we have with LinkedIn and these others. You can kind of see when your viewership starts to fall off.
Right.
And when that happens, you might want to see, well, what were we doing at that moment in time that drove people away? So I think as far as high quality, that's I think it's important from the perspective of, I think when you're first starting out, right, it's that whole thing, people are forgiving, but we should always be striving to run better shows, right? I think
Yeah.
that's the whole reason why, at least I know, Tim, you and I have talked, we are always interested in what these other platforms are doing, because we want to be able to do more visually, right? Uh,
Yes.
Chris Stone talks about pattern interrupt, right? You want to be able to do things like Tim's got the ticker running at the bottom. He shares the comments to the screen. That catches your attention when that happens. Now, granted, some people may not be watching us, but they're listening, and that's where audio is important. And so, but I do think if you're going to get sponsors, right, some of that is going to come down to, is it a good show? Does it have good production quality? Are the guests, prepared, right? Because the worst thing that can happen is the guests come on and they don't have a good microphone. They got the cameras, looking up their nose, which is, and this is a lot of things you see on Zoom.
Yeah.
That's going to take away from the show. And so I think that's my perspective. I'd love to hear your perspective on this.
Yeah, those are great points, Jim. And that was a really great point in terms of, if you want to get sponsors for your show, right? If you want to have some sort of brand partnership, then that higher level of production quality, uh, all those things of leveling up your show are going to be more important. And over time, right, Jim, if we look back to our first show, I should do that again today. We should do that again. Go back and look at our first
No,
show.
no.
It may be cringeworthy. We should.
It's on our Facebook page. If you
It
go to the Tim and
is.
Jim Show Facebook page, we did put it out there.
Yes. Uh, but I do love the uncut, unrehearsed feeling of live stream shows. Like, that's one of the things that I love about live. It's that it's not really stringent and super scripted. Now, on some live stream shows, portions of it are scripted, depending on
Mhm.
the person's shows. Our show is not. Um, but I do agree with Jim that higher production value is especially important when you are going to partner with a brand, or you're getting a sponsor, and those kind of things. Um, and over time, you'll increase the quality of your show, depending on if you're going to do something like that, or even if you're not, you may want to get a better camera, get a better microphone, uh, and other ways that you can better the quality of your equipment, of your show in some way. Maybe
Right,
change up your branding. Yeah.
and I think you bring up a great point. So as an example, when we talk to people about getting started, you know, Tim and I now have, I think, Tim, are you using your real camera now, right? I think you've got a DSLR, or
I'm actually not using it today.
you're using the webcam today. But
It's
we
my
started
built-in
out.
right now.
Oh, okay, wow, it looks pretty good. So
Thanks.
when we started out, right, I don't even know if I was using a webcam when we first started. I might have been using a Logitech C920. I used that for a
Yeah.
long time,
Mhm.
and I might have even for a while was maybe using the microphone that was built into my computer. And I was using, and then we went from like the Apple earbuds to, we had cans, like a radio,
Right.
so it's like, it's an evolution, right? I've gotten a
Yeah.
better computer, I've gotten a better studio, but you could start out with your cell phone. Of course,
Mhm.
something I'm very excited about, Tim, but I'm an Apple guy.
You are.
If you've
So am
seen
I.
what Apple is getting
I'm on
ready to
one right
do,
now. Yeah.
they are they've coming out with a feature that you'll have a little mount you could stick on top of your like your Apple computer, put your Apple phone on there, and it will use that camera wirelessly
Oh.
to go live with, and you can actually use 2 cameras on the back at once. So you could have the one camera's looking at you, the ultra wide lens will actually come down at your desk. So like if you were demoing something with your hands, you can do it with
Oh.
just that iPhone, which is got a 4K camera. Not that anybody's
Wow.
gonna get 4K on the other end. Now, I thought it was funny because some people like, well, they should just put a better camera in the computer. But you know what? Let's be real. Does PCs have great built-in cameras? No. That's why people end up going and buying webcams. But that move in itself, I think, is going to have an impact on the webcam industry. If people can just like, oh, I can just use my phone now. I don't need to go buy a webcam. And so I think that's something that I think is interesting as far as that goes as well. But yeah, I think you have to be careful with commercials, and I do like what Tim, or
Yeah.
I mean not Tim, but Stefan said, is he's kind of learned, right, less is more, right? So
Yeah.
sometimes we don't want to put too much visual, I don't know what we call it, interruption, because or it's the timings. You got to think about the timing, I think, more than anything else.
Yeah, definitely. And Peter Clark is here. Shout out to you, Peter Clark, for being here. You had an incredible show yesterday. Guys, definitely connect with Peter Clark. He has incredible shows and also does live stream producing work, among other things. So definitely connect with him. I was gonna say something else, but I can't remember what it was, Jim Fuse.
Hmm.
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 The
Oh,
things
and
that make you go, "Hmm."
well,
Yeah.
and then one of the other things we did talk about as well, Tim, is when it comes to the whole virtual presentation thing.
Okay.
Here's something to think about.
Yeah.
I was just at a conference last week, going to a conference next week. Last week's conference, after the conference, a bunch of people got COVID, right? Now,
Right.
fortunately, wasn't like, you know, hospitalized COVID. I I'm not a, I don't have a crystal ball, but we know it's still happening.
Right.
But I think that in of itself is going to scare people or make people hesitate about um, traveling. And
Right.
so if you're running an event, and I know our friend Mike Alton talks about it, I think hybrid is is a key component of success in the future, because if I can't make it, well, I still may want to, see what's going on, and I may not necessarily want to get the recording. I want to be able to interact live.
Yeah.
So you have to be prepared as an event producer, right? And we're talking big events, not just talking like what me and Tim do. How are you going to bring in that virtual audience? And so that's another thing that needs to be considered. And then when it comes to things like Zoom, right, which sometimes I want to stick a fork in my eye, people need to get better, right? They're making excuses. They don't improve their audio. They're, there's programs like we're talking about, Ecamm, Prezi, that will let you do stuff within your camera window on Zoom instead of I'm going to share my PowerPoint slide, or
Right.
I'm going to
Right.
do the PowerPoint where I'm superimposed in the bottom, I think it's left corner or it's the right corner as you're looking at the screen while I'm presenting.
Yeah.
This is what's going to set people apart, and it's not rocket science, right? Because I'm not a
Yeah.
rocket scientist. Now
You're not?
my uncle is, but that's a whole nother story for another time.
Shout out to your
Um,
uncle. Maybe
and
he could come
and
on the show.
I don't know if he can because he's not able to talk about what he does. But
Oh, okay.
it kind of goes back to, um, people keep making excuses for why they're not improving. I mean, we've talked about it before. I'm using the Shure MV7, but this microphone right here, the
Yeah.
Samson Q2U,
Mhm.
you can get it sometimes as low as $60. Will work with a PC, will work with a Mac, will work with USB. So you could use this as your microphone on a Zoom call. You will sound so much better than if you are, talking. And if you use this, you might even be able to get away without headphones because you have to talk this close to the microphone for it to pick up the sound. So I think that is something that I think as far as live stream, because don't Zoom is a live stream. You may not be thinking about, but you're live. Sometimes people hit record, you know,
Right.
and so those are moments of you captured in time. And I think that's a skill that I encourage people to continue to work with. We talked about it, Tim, when you were there last week, our Toastmasters meetings, right? The
Yeah.
speakers are virtually presenting. And so whether it's coming up with and using, like I've got the Rode Wireless Go 2s, right? If I use that, of course I'll have to yell a little louder. I could step away from my computer and now you could see I could use my hands and gesture and things like that. So those are things that we want to consider as this evolves. So yeah, so you know, the future of live streaming I think is extremely bright. I don't think it's, if anything, things got accelerated. The fact that there's so many companies now trying to come up with products and just like other things we've seen, we'll see some rise, we'll see some fall.
Yeah.
But I think the biggest key to success is, can you keep it simple? Because I think what we see as remote producers is, and it may be the case for some of you that are sitting here in the audience today or watching on replay, I don't want to know how to make the sausage. I just want to show up, go live, and everything else is taken care of it for me. But
Right.
even with that, you still have a responsibility as that individual coming on camera to be professional and prepared and not make excuses. Of course, like sometimes they're like, "Oh, well, it worked when I did Zoom." Well, everything has different settings,
Right.
and you have to understand that, right? That's what's scary about the technology, right? The stuff changes and things happen.
True.
I think sometimes when you do an update to your computer, it will sometimes reset stuff, and you gotta think about that because it's like, "Well, I don't know what happened. It didn't work." Well, guess what? The reset changed your default settings to something that you had changed before. So, I mean, do you run into that sometimes as well?
What's
Where
that, Jim?
like the gremlins, like things like it changes on you, and you have to go back and change a setting?
Yeah, definitely. Things are constantly evolving, or I haven't heard that a setting was changed in whatever platform, and you just kind of have to figure something out at the last minute for sure. Denise has a question. She says, "Can I be on a Zoom call and StreamYard at the same time?"
I have heard people have done that, but I don't know what you think, Tim. I kinda feel like, wh you know, I would use like, Ecamm works with Zoom specifically, but now we're talking about software, we're talking about virtual cameras.
Yeah.
StreamYard doesn't work as a virtual camera, and so I think there's some crazy way that it's kinda like you're sharing Zoom or StreamYard into somebody's Zoom, but, I haven't really tried that because kinda goes back to Zoom as a resource hog. I've seen a couple of, like, posts in the StreamYard community where people supposedly have done it, but I've stayed away from it. What about you? Have you tried that at all?
I haven't done it, but I know Stefan Kaplan has done it with a client before. So Denise, if you're interested in learning more, definitely connect with Stefan because he has done it successfully. Um, yeah. Jenny says, Jim, DJ Rodriguez and you should try to get Toastmaster National to teach the clubs how to be virtual too. Just an idea.
Oh, definitely agree. In fact, I was actually able to give a presentation at our Toastmasters district conference about using video. I didn't specifically get into the virtual piece, but there are some clubs that are doing that. But I think what we did run into over the last couple of years is some people like to speak in person. Not saying there's anything wrong with it. That's a skill to be developed. but we had people quit because they're like, well, I'm going to wait until we go back to in person. And I personally, I think that was a mistake. I get it that some people don't want to sit on a Zoom, but it's you're still working on those skills. You're still working at being a better speaker, and you'll get those opportunities to speak in person at other things. I mean, I'm actually have considered, in my spare time, looking for a club that they're focused on virtual presentation,
Mm.
and getting that feedback. So I think that's a great point, Jenny. I think that, and now I will say this is something that came up, and I think Roy talked about it on our show last week. And Roy's an international director for Toastmasters, and fortunate for me, he's also in my club. That the contests that Toastmasters have are going to be hybrid,
Oh,
meaning that the speakers may not actually be physically showing up to the location where the quote unquote contest is happening. So that kind of creates a whole nother thing, going back to Jenny's point about
yeah,
needing to know how to present virtually.
definitely. Definitely. And Ross Brand is in the house. Hey, Ross Brand,
Hey,
great to
Russ,
see
great to
you.
see you. Yes.
Welcome. Welcome.
Yes. Live stream universe. And one of the I think we all think, if there was a Mount Rushmore of live streamers, Ross Brand would be on that on Mount Rushmore there.
Yes,
So,
definitely. Definitely. Well, this has been a great conversation. Thank you all for being here. So many. The comments are still on fire.
yeah,
Stefan
Stefan.
said,
Yeah, go
yeah.
ahead.
He said, Stefan said, I've used StreamYard with Zoom for a private client who wanted to have a big group and yet use StreamYard to bring it into Zoom for its beauty of a multimedia presentation, and it worked great. It was really tough to set it up, but it was worth it.
Hmm.
Yeah, so definitely connect with Stefan if you want to learn more about that. Christina says all three modes, in person, recorded video, and live stream, all require slightly different skills, a strong foundation in communication in general, but the lack of audience response in video and live stream is intimidating.
I would definitely agree with that. I think that's something that we have to like work at overcoming, right? I would almost say it almost creates imposter syndrome sometimes because you're like,
Yeah.
well, nobody's saying anything, nobody's watching. But I think and I think that's one thing, right, Tim, that I don't we maybe did it a little bit when we first started, but it kind of goes back to, if you're live, right? When
Yeah.
that thing says go live, and as soon as our video's over, we're getting right into the show. We're not waiting for
Right.
people to show up, right?
Exactly.
We're acting, it's like it doesn't matter if there's 0 people or 100 people watching us. The show is going as if, it's a full house. And of course, Tim does a great job of getting our audience interaction going as well. And I think that's where the beauty of live, right, is we are making those connections. But I agree too with what Christina is saying about communication, right? And so that's where, kind of going back to why I'm an advocate for Toastmasters, is it helps you with
Yes.
your communication skills. And yeah, and the recorded is different. But I like what you said, Tim, that by going live, right? One, we don't have to worry about so much about, hey, if we mess up, right? It's real. People
Yeah.
relate to that. Because sometimes when you hear how much time people spend producing a YouTube video of
Hmm.
10 minutes, you're just kind of like, wow. And I will say, if I do a few YouTube videos on my Fusion marketing channel, a lot of times it's the first take.
Yeah.
Maybe two if I really mess something up, but I don't really spend a lot of time on, you know, post-production trying to make everything look perfect. I just don't, and maybe it's because 'cause we've been live streaming for so long. I just
Yeah.
don't have the maybe I don't have the patience. It's hard to believe, isn't it?
Yeah, no, Jim. It's so funny, Jim, because I did a 3-day video challenge. I think it was 2 weeks ago, and it was recorded videos. And it's so funny because I could live stream all day long. I love live streaming, but when it comes to recorded videos, I think I probably did 6 takes of one of the recorded videos because I'll look back at them and I won't like them until it's still not perfect, right? After 6 takes, it's still not perfect. And I'll just be like, fine, I'll go with it. but I hate recorded videos. I don't are you the same at all, Jim?
I would say yes, and the reason I say that too is I think that's what sometimes keeps me from doing all this short form stuff because it's
Yeah,
like,
me too.
ugh, I gotta record it, and then I gotta think, did I make it under 30 seconds and or whatever, or I guess now you can do a 90-second reel on,
I
Instagram
saw
that
that. I
just
saw
just
that.
came out.
And Whitney was in the challenge too. Hi, Whitney. It's great to have you here.
Yes.
You did
Yes. Well,
awesome too.
it's good to see you guys challenging yourselves, and I think that's a great way. I mean, that's kinda how that's how I got started. Kelly Noble Mirabella did a challenge and started out in a Facebook group, but that was live, right? It wasn't recorded. Of course, and then you think sometimes it's like, well, should I be doing more, to your point, recorded videos and uploading them, and will I get more people to interact with me? So yeah,
Yeah.
I would agree with you. I don't like doing the record, but I've learned to, right? Because when I do
Yeah.
product videos for Amazon, those are recorded. I've had to kinda learn some new skills, like, one of the things I'm doing now is sometimes I'll record the product, like, just showing myself, showing the product in different angles, then bringing it into Ecamm, and then I do my talking kind of over, kinda demonstrating what I was talking about. Because
Oh,
sometimes trying to do both at the same time is very difficult. And so when
it
you talk
must
about
be.
production value, like if I'm trying to show all the little things on this and then at the same time talk, it's one thing to do it live, but it's another thing if you're trying to make a video that makes any sense. Um,
Yeah, definitely. And Stefan says, OMG B fam. That means brother from another mother. I am so with you. Recording videos drive me nuts. Totally makes me feel like a screaming goat.
yes, yeah.
Yes.
Well, yeah, because then you're like, oh, because like we both have our kind of our studios set up, and it's like, oh, should I be recording it somewhere else? Trying to change my look because I don't. Should it always be the same? Should it be different? I mean, you've got that argument too, and of course, then when you see people like recording a video while they're in their car, I kind of cringe. It's like at least if you're in your car,
Yeah.
make sure the car's not moving, or even say, "Hey, I'm sitting here in the parking lot." Because
Yeah.
I just think that's dangerous to be recording or even being live on video while driving.
Oh,
So
while
if you're doing
driving.
yeah.
Yeah.
So if
I
you're
did
doing that,
all
please stop.
I did all my record. Yeah, definitely stop. Please be safe while you're live.
Yeah.
I did all my recorded videos in the backyard. It was not a green screen. It was real trees in the videos. Yes.
Oh,
Um,
we do have to get this question because Ross Brand asked
oh yeah.
Stefan, did you bring StreamYard into Zoom via a screen share? Because I am
Ooh.
curious about that.
Yes. Definitely let us know, Stefan, and let
I think
Ross Brand.
Stefan should do a YouTube video to show how that's done. I would be very interested in that. I would watch it and give him watch time.
Yes.
Share it out.
Paging Stefan.
So
Stefan, are
s
you
so s
listening?
so Stefan, that's your challenge is to do a video on how to use StreamYard with Zoom. Because 'cause I'm curious. I am curious.
That's your homework.
It's your homework.
Beware if you watch the Tim and Jim show, you get homework, just so you know.
Yes. And
Yes.
Stefan, shout out to you with your recent, trip to my old hometown of DC. You were at the Kennedy Center doing some amazing things, got to meet one of the I don't know if it's the actual producer of Hamilton. I mean, he's got the hookups. Um, for sure. I mean, he never calls us Tim, but that's okay, right? We'll be all right.
I know, and Stefan actually got to go on the train with the guy from Hamilton.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wonder if they sang.
Maybe Stefan sang with the Hamilton guy. This conversation is digressing quickly.
Yes. But we're
Yes.
waiting to see if Stefan, are you gonna answer, Stefan? Are you still
Are you
there?
still there, Stefan? Stefan, are you
Stefan,
there?
we asked you a question about StreamYard and Zoom. Tell us how to do it. Tell us what your secret is. Um, and
Yes.
yeah, so next week it's gonna be I don't know if I'll call it a crazy show, and I
Crazy.
mean, the goal is 11, but if something changes, we will let you know. But I'm going to be coming to you live from Lima, Ohio. And he did use screen share. Okay. That that is good to know. We might have to play around with that ourselves. We could do that, Tim. We could play around and
Yes.
experiment. Um, and I don't know who my guest is. I may have several guests. Tim will be running the show from the forest with the bears and the trees in Shahola, unless he's in some other
Yes,
secret location.
from the woods. Oh, actually, next. Where am I going to be next week?
Wednesday the 15th.
The 15th. Oh, yeah, I'll still be here. The following week, I will be in New Hampshire.
Ooh,
Yes.
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 And we have so we have guests scheduled, other than our surprise guest. I don't even know who they are yet next week. We have guests scheduled into July, so we have a lot of fun guests and looking forward to that. And Tim, before you know it, it'll be August, our 4-year anniversary.
Oh my gosh, we
Is that
better
crazy?
start blowing up the balloons.
I know.
Yeah,
Yes. So
we're going to need a lot of balloons for that.
yeah. So
Yes.
yeah, so Stefan, thank you for answering the question for Ross and for us too, because I'm definitely curious because I have people talking about it's like, how do I use StreamYard with Zoom? And you're like, what? And then because you're kind of like, well, why do you want to do that? It's like either use a Zoom webinar and use Ecamm or something like that if you really want to update your production value, or just have them go into, whatever private group, because you can, RTMP to these private sites and use StreamYard as well. And oh, you were a guinea pig. Did you? I didn't know that.
I was a
I
guinea
thought I
pig.
thought
I
you were a
tested it
screaming
out with
goat.
him.
I thought you were a screaming
You
goat.
asked for it.
And Ross Brand was our guest on our 1-year anniversary show.
On our, wasn't it 100 episodes?
Well, it was no, it was the first year.
Oh, was it 1 year?
Yes, it was because
Okay.
it was right after Lima, because I met him at
Oh,
Lima
okay.
in 19,
I
and
can't
then
keep track. There's been so many shows. I can't
yes,
keep track.
yes,
Yes.
and then we had Andrew and Pete. Where was it last year or the year before? I'm losing track.
Uh, Andrew and Pete was the year before. We had Winnie's son for
That's right.
3, and then I think before that was Andrew and Pete, right?
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
And
So
and
much
we'll
reminiscing.
and it'll be a surprise who's going to be our guest for the 4-year show, because we don't
It
even
will
know
be a
yet.
surprise to all of us. Yes. Okay,
Uh,
Jim Fuse. This has been a wonderful show.
yes, it has. And thank you everyone for watching, whether you're watching us right now live or catching us on replay. And if you have questions, let us know. And great to see everyone. Great to see you, Tim, and hope everyone has a great weekend.
Yes. We'll see you next week for another episode of the Tim and Jim Show. Let's do the Tim. Everybody do the Tim on the way out. I feel like we need music for the end of our show. Let's work
Yeah,
on that.
that's coming. That's right.
Yes. Coming soon to a show near you.